Have you ever wondered about the world's hidden truths? Brace yourself for a mind-bending journey as we uncover shocking facts that will leave you astonished and questioning reality. What secrets lie beneath the surface? Let's find out. Before we get started, kindly like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell so that you can always be the first to know whenever a new video drops. Number 10. No dogs in Antarctica. Did you ever think about where those tough sled dogs belong? You'd probably picture them in Antarctica, right? Well, not anymore. Did you know that as early as 1994, they were banned from setting paws in Antarctica? Why, you ask? Well, it's all because of a strict rule called the Environmental Protocol Treaty. So, what's the deal with the dog ban in Antarctica? In a nutshell, they got banned in '94 because some environmentalists were worried that these dogs were passing on a nasty doggy disease to the seals. They thought that diseases like canine distemper could spread from the dogs to the seals, and that could be a big problem for seal survival. Fascinating, isn't it? Number 9. Smells like Teen Spirit. Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, which now has over 1 billion views on YouTube, completely transformed the music scene. It is one of many anthems of youth and rebellion, right? Well, here's the twist. It's actually about teenage girl deodorant. So, here's the story. The lead singer of Bikini Kill, Katherine Hanna, was pals with Kurt Cobain's girlfriend at the time. As a little joke, she wrote the phrase "smells like teen spirit" on Cobain's wall, poking fun at him about his scent. But Cobain, being the creative genius he was, took that simple sentence and turned it into a song that became a massive hit. It played a huge role in making Nirvana's album Nevermind sell a whopping 30 million copies. Crazy, right? Number 8. One resident town. Ever heard of a town in Nebraska named Monowai? It's got a quirky story. This place only has one resident, and she's a real multitasker. She's not just the mayor, she's also the bartender and the librarian. So, why is it called Monowai? Well, apparently, it means flower. Back in 1903, Monowai came to life when a railroad called the Mason, Elkhorn and Missouri Valley Railroad reached there. They even had a post office from 1902 to 1967. Now, here's the interesting part. Monowai was once bustling in the 1930s, with around 150 people living there. But like many small towns in the Great Plains, it lost its young folks to bigger cities with better job opportunities. Fast forward to the 2000 census, and Monowai had a total population of 2, a married couple named Rudy and Elsie Eiler. Sadly, Rudy passed away in 2004, leaving Elsie as the one and only resident in this unique little village. Number 7. Bear Soldier. In 1942, during a wild chapter of World War II, a group of Polish soldiers got themselves out of the Soviet Union and ended up in Iran. On their journey, they made an unusual friend, a Syrian brown bear named Wojtek. They went all in and officially made Wojtek a private in their unit. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. The soldiers and Wojtek moved to Italy from 1943 to 1944, and guess what? This bear wasn't just a mascot, he was a working soldier. He helped carry heavy ammunition and became a beloved celebrity among the troops. When the war ended, Wojtek was honorably discharged from his unique military service. He lived out his days peacefully in Edinburgh Zoo until he passed away in 1963. That's one bear with an epic war story. Number 6. UFO fighting in Zimbabwe. If you've ever questioned the reality of UFOs, here's a mind-boggling story that might make you think twice. On September 16, 1994, something incredible happened outside Rua, Zimbabwe. Imagine being one of 62 pupils at the aerial school, all aged between 6 and 12. Picture this: silver crafts descending from the sky and landing in a field near your school. That's exactly what these kids claim to have witnessed. But here's where it gets really strange. These young witnesses said that one or more creatures, dressed in all black, came out of those crafts and communicated with them telepathically. And the message? It had an environmental theme, of all things. Can you imagine how frightening and surreal that must have been for these children? This bizarre aerial school UFO incident quickly became one of the most famous UFO cases not just in Africa, but in the world. Number 5. Einstein's brain. Did you know that when Albert Einstein, the famous physicist, passed away in 1955, his last words were lost because the nurse didn't speak German? Later, they cremated him in New Jersey, but his son Hans Albert discovered something shocking. Dr. Thomas Harvey, the pathologist who did Einstein's autopsy, didn't stop at finding the cause of death, a burst aorta. He wanted fame in medicine, so he cut open Einstein's skull and took out his brain. Fast forward to 1978, a young reporter named Stephen Levy convinced Harvey to reveal the fate of Einstein's brain. It turned out it was not only pickled but sliced into 240 tiny cubes. This unusual brain had been sitting in a box labeled Costa Cider for 2 decades. Number 4. Thomas Edison's last breath. Where does a genius's last breath end up? Well, in 1931, when Thomas Edison, the brilliant inventor, drew his final breath due to complications from diabetes, his friend Henry Ford didn't let it vanish into thin air. Ford convinced Edison's son, Charles, to grab a test tube and capture that very last exhale. Some say that the eccentric Ford was trying to capture Edison's soul as it left his body. Others believe that 8 test tubes were simply placed near Edison's bed as he neared the end, and his son later sent one to Henry Ford. Regardless of the story's twist, you can actually see the last breath, or at least the test tube that captured it, at the Henry Ford Museum in Detroit. Number 3. The Dennises. Now, if you're familiar with the fictional character Dennis the Menace, then you'll know that there are 2 versions. But do you know they came to life at the same time, despite being worlds apart? In March of 1951, Hank Ketchum gave birth to one of these Dennises. Simultaneously, across the Atlantic, British cartoonist David Davy Law was weaving his own brand of mischief with the other Dennis. Remarkably, they had no inkling of each other's existence until fate played its hand. While it might seem like one of these creators had to copy the other, that's not the real story here. These two creative minds had no clue about each other's work, and when you dive in, you'll see that their characters are poles apart. The UK version is a real troublemaker, a nasty little trouble seeker, while the US version is a cheerful, carefree kid. Number 2. Theodore Roosevelt survives assassination attempt. Back in 1912, President Theodore Roosevelt was running for a third term with a group called the Progressive, or Bull Moose, Party. While he was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, getting ready to give a speech outside his hotel, a guy named John Schrenk shot him. The bullet actually hit Roosevelt in the chest, but luckily, he had his speech notes and metal glasses case in his breast pocket. Those things slowed down the bullet and saved his life. Believe it or not, Roosevelt still went on to give his speech, even though he didn't know if he was bleeding inside. He just coughed into his hands to check for blood. Roosevelt was always a really tough and famous guy, and this incident just made him even more legendary. But here's the crazy part. The doctors decided it was safer to leave the bullet in his ribs than to try to take it out. So, Roosevelt finished his campaign with a bullet stuck in his ribs. Number 1. Animal dung cure. Did you know that something as unusual as animal dung was once considered a remedy for various health problems in ancient times? Back in the old days, people had some interesting ideas about using animal poop to help with different health issues. In ancient Greece, they actually used crocodile poop as a way to prevent women from getting pregnant. And over in ancient Egypt, warriors would use animal dung to treat their wounds after battles. Even the Scots had their own way of using sheep droppings to deal with smallpox. Believe it or not, pig dung was thought to be useful in stopping nosebleeds. It might sound strange to us now, but in ancient times, people were willing to try all sorts of remedies, even if they involved animal dung. And there you have it, folks, some truly shocking and unbelievable facts that challenge our understanding of the world. Which fact surprised you the most? Can you think of any other incredible facts to add to this list? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more fascinating content.